Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty. Have you missed us? We missed two So Chatties. I think it was two So Chatties in a row. Or was it just one? Might have been just
I'm
one.
not sure.
Well, we missed one for sure. But you knew that was going to happen because we told you that was going to happen. So now we're back on track. We're back on schedule. Christmas is out of the way. New Year's is out of the way. I took down all the Christmas decorations today. The house looks bare. Um, yeah, so let's take a look at what we're doing and let's then talk about the new year and our plans for the new year and looking at, in a wider context, why do people get frustrated after they've got all these great ideas they're going to do in the new year?
New Year's resolution.
New Year's resolutions. Well, I don't make any of those. I made a resolution not to make a resolution. So that's my resolution. But before we get into all of that good stuff, let's take a look at what's causing me frustration this time of the year. Actually, this one not so much as the last one. If you remember, earlier this week on The Idiot Quilter and last week on Stephen and Walter Live, I talked about the amethyst bag that I made, which, or tried to make, and how frustrating that was. The instructions, I didn't like the instructions. Maybe it was me, but I don't think it was me. And a lot of you reached out and told me that other patterns they had done by the same company, So Sweetness is the name of the company. And I have several of their free patterns. That might have been my first mistake, buying a free pattern. There was supposed to be a video tutorial, but apparently not unless you actually buy the pattern, which is no longer free. I bought that a long time ago, or got it a long time ago when it was free. So now once you've paid for the pattern or something, you can see a free tutorial, which, or not a free tutorial because you pay for that too. But anyways, yeah. But it kind of put me off, and you saw the disaster. I showed you what didn't work. Anyways, I decided, okay, let's go with something that's tried and true. And here it is. And it is the Adam Sews, and everybody knows Adam. Adam has his own patterns for things, and this is the mini zip case. I worked on it yesterday on the pop-up sew day. And, well, this is the outside of it. Looks pretty good. And here's the inside. When you open it up, it has a zipper all the way around. You open it up and you have these two vinyl pockets, and you have an elastic section that you can stick tools in and things like that. And everything has a zipper, as you can see. And yeah, it looks really good. I'm not happy with it. Things that you can't see. My binding around the curves is not the best. In fact, I broke 3 needles doing this. My stupidity, but I didn't like how the ends of the zippers, if you see them, they're supposed to be coiled sort of under, and they are sort of. I watched Adam's video. Adam, his patterns are good, and this is nothing against Adam's patterns, okay? I want to say that right off the bat. It was more probably me understanding the pattern, not having done one of these before. And luckily, Adam does have a video for most of his patterns. Although at times I found the video a little awkward because, and I know it's very difficult to make videos when you're sewing, trying to get a camera in a position, because I wasn't looking at it from Adam's perspective. Like if there would have been a way that his camera could have been behind him and above, down, then you'd see everything in the same orientation as when you put your hands on things. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, he had it more towards the front of his, in front of his sewing machine, and so everything was turned 180 degrees from my perspective. Now, not a problem if you're somebody that isn't angly challenged, because I am. I'm very angular. No, I'm also okay. Rented lips. Anyways, I had some difficulties, and I watched the video over and over again. The other problem is this particular bag, especially if you're a beginner, takes some concentration, and I was running the pop-up sew day at the same time trying to do this, and that might have been a mistake. Okay. Anyways, I got it together. It works. It does what it's supposed to do, but I'm just not happy with a couple of things that were more my fault. They weren't Adam's fault. And it was discouraging because I spent a whole day working on this and I was getting very frustrated. And as I said, I ended up breaking 3 needles in the process. And uh, I'm a little off bag making right now. Not because of Adam's pattern or anything else. I'm thinking, do I really enjoy it? I thought I might. I don't know if I do. I think I'm going to put bag making after I just spent about $300 or $400 on supplies for bag making, like in stabilizers and in zippers and other hardware and stuff, on hold for a bit. I've decided to go back to my roots to quilting, and I'm working on a design of my own for a quilt of valor. Um, I started working on this a month or so ago, and now I'm altering it and trying to get it into electric quilt to make sure my measurements work and all that kind of stuff. Quilt math hard. It is. I have a hard time with quilt math. I really do. I don't know why I'm quilting. I can't do calculations. I can't read patterns. I can't sew straight. What's this all about? Anyways, yeah, it's been a bit frustrating to start the year off with that. But anyways, we persevere. And I've got some UFOs I got to get onto Lucy, and I keep saying that all the time. And there's 2 sitting behind us that you can't see at the moment. And I got 3 more in Lucy room. Yes, next week I have to get on that. If not tomorrow, I go clean. If I clean Lucy up today, I have to clean Lucy when Walter's awake because the air compressor.
Why? It doesn't bother me.
Well, that air compressor is pretty loud.
Yeah, well, I don't hear anything.
Okay, dead to the world. Well, good to know. So keep that in mind. Remember, he said it doesn't bother him. So if you ever hear him on here saying, "Yeah, and then you got that darn compressor going and clean at the crack of dawn." Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, so that's what I've been working on. What have you been working on?
Well, I started yesterday this, I had this shirt that I was started before Christmas. And then I ended up working on the shirts that I made for Christmas.
Yeah, our Christmas
So
shirts.
I put this away for now. And then yesterday I decided I was at the stage I had to put the collar on. So I put the collar on and I got all the way to almost being done putting the collar on. And only to find a major mistake.
Oh, no, say it isn't so.
And the thing is I've never made a mistake on the collar till here this time. So I made a big mistake on it. And there's 2 of these parts here on the collar. Like there's this part. There's another part that looks exactly the same that goes on the inside. And the 2 edges didn't catch properly. So one part of the collar was down here. Down at the bottom. The other part of the collar started up here. And I couldn't unpick it because the stitch I used at the edge of the collar is the stitch length is under 1. So it's really small stitches and they're impossible to pick out. So I ended up ripping off the whole collar and starting all over again. So I only got partway done yesterday.
So let's talk about starting the new year frustrated. Yeah, not really a good sign of things. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe we have to look at it from okay, I don't know. Words are failing me.
Opportunistic?
Well, no, positive, from a more positive point of view is what I'm trying to say. Like, okay, so you start the new year off bad. That means it's only going to get better. We'll see how that works out. Okay, so announcements. We're back to regular sew days on Wednesdays. We took a few of them off and changed some dates and things around there during the Christmas holidays and everything. But now we're back on schedule this week. So this coming Wednesday, which is January the 7th, I believe, Sewing with Stephen, 9 a.m. start, Zoom, link, show notes below. You know the drill. Come and go as you please. So that's back on. Pop-up sew day review. We had that yesterday. Now, someone said, I thought you usually have them on Saturdays. Yes, when I have a pop-up sew day, I usually have them on a Saturday. But because it was New Year's Day, because we didn't have a Sewing with Stephen on Wednesday, I decided that New Year's Day was a great way for a great date for a pop-up sew day, and start the new year off. And we had quite a few people. At the height of it, I think there was over 30. And that was pretty good. Some people that we haven't seen for a while. One lady was on there that I haven't seen in about 2.5 years. Well, I couldn't remember how long it had been, but she said it was 2.5 years. And so I'm hoping she'll come back again on a more regular basis, as well. And we had a few new people that had never been to a pop-up before. I hope we didn't scare them off. So yeah, it was a good day. People were getting lots of things done, lots of chatter about this, that, and everything. So next one will be, I don't know. There'll probably be another one sometime this month, but probably not till the latter part of the month, because I'm going on a sew day with Walter to his sew group. That's becoming a more regular thing than it was before when I was doing it. And besides, where else can I go and find out that about men's underwear and bathing suits that people are sewing up, or, whips and chains? Yeah, it's that kind of group. Okay, enough said. So we got a pleasant surprise in the mail earlier this week, and this comes from a regular subscriber, Inez, and Inez lives on the Rock. The Rock is Newfoundland, and she's always comments on all our videos now. I think she's one of our biggest supporters. And she decided to send us this gift, and I've got it up here to show you. She sent us both a pair of these mitts, and this cute card with gnomes on it. And she said that she had these mitts are handmade. I don't know why my lips are not cooperating. It's like I'm having a stroke.
Maybe you are.
Who are you?
Oh.
I don't know. Anyways, they're lovely mitts, but they're kind of unique, and you can't really see in this picture, but they have a thumb hole and they have an index finger hole on both, kind of like lobster claws on that. And I've never seen gloves like that before. So I wrote to her to thank her for sending us these lovely gloves and our mitts, and I asked her if she had knit them, because they definitely look like Walter didn't think they were handmade. He said that the stitching was just too even with them. But I said, no, I think they're handmade. But they weren't handmade by Inez. She has a friend that does this kind of stuff, and so she got these from her friend, I guess. And she says, yes, that design is for the fishermen in Newfoundland, so that they can grab things better. And I imagine out in the ocean in wintertime off of the coast of Newfoundland, it's probably very, very cold. As well. So they're lovely, they're nice and warm, and kind of unique. So thank you, Inez, for that. That was very thoughtful of you. She gave them to us because she knows we go out for walks all the time, and right now it's a bit cold. Actually, it's balmy right now. It's -4. When I went out for my walk, it was -10. Yesterday we were down to -18. We're talking Celsius, people. So I know the people out Western Canada are laughing at us and going, yeah, try -40, which is what they have, or up in Timmins.
Yeah, which is -40 Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah, because that's when the two, yeah. However, you have to do the math. Temperature math, hard. I have a general feeling that most math for me is hard. But anyways, so that was really nice. Thank you, Inez, very much for it. We very much appreciate it. And we got a Christmas card in the mail from John of Art East Quilt Company. And actually on the cover of his card is one of his designs as well. Yeah, John is a business, okay? And I support John because he's a Canadian business. And besides that, I think his patterns and everything are very unique, very well written. He's a very good businessman for sure. But not only that, but one of the reasons it makes him a good businessman is because he cares about his customers. You're just not somebody who bought something from him. I mean, I'm sure we're not the only ones that got a Christmas card from him. I think everybody, well, because of what he wrote inside of it too, everybody who are in on the sew-alongs, I think probably got a card as well, which is fine. Okay, so I'm not as special as I thought I'd like to be. But it's customer relations that really make a business, and it makes you come back for more. And John is a very nice person and a talented designer and a good businessman as well. So I wish him this year all the luck they can have. I mean, a Canadian company. In this time right now, we need to support our Canadian businesses. So those of you that are Canadian out there or American, because he will ship to the States, he's figured out how to do that so you don't have to. I think he's covering the if you end up having to pay. Well, I don't think you'd have to pay tariff though, because it's not on our stuff. It's on their stuff if it's manufactured there. I'm confused about it, but then I think I'm not the only one. I think we're all confused.
Yeah, if it's in, I don't know, it depends. There's some
Well,
items
just
that are
going to confuse
exempt
us more.
from the
Yeah,
tariffs. But yeah, he's going to cover if you have to incur a tariffs or
he's
anything
sort
like
of
that.
covering it or doing however he's got that worked out. I don't know, but again, that's how John operates his business. He does everything he possibly can for his customers. Um, so yeah, Canadian companies support him. If you're Canadian for sure, if you're American, give him a try. If you're interested, he's got great patterns. Go onto his site, arteastco.com. I believe that's what it is. Just go in Art East Quilting or Quilt Company and you will find him easily
Yeah.
enough through Google. Okay, so we've had New Year's, and New Year's is a time when people get a sense of a new beginning. We get all inspired. We get all hepped up about the new year to come. What exciting things we can accomplish. And we as quilters and sewers are right in there with our plans for what we're going to do this year. Oftentimes, our plans include doing things that we didn't get finished the past year. So, we're determined we get those UFOs done and out of the way and start new projects, possibly challenge ourselves by learning a new technique or trying something that we've always wanted to try but never got around to it. We have great ideas, great hopes and dreams. So, what are our hopes and dreams? What are our ideas for the new year? Well, you already knew. I've been telling people 2026, year of the bag. Guess what? Revamping that idea. So instead, I think I'm going to take a look at making some, I may do some more bag making, but quilts of valor. I need to make one, maybe two more quilts of valor. As I said earlier, I'm working on a design for a quilt of valor, one that's sort of an original design to me based on a panel that came out. I'm working on that. Of course, I got UFOs that need to be put on Lucy. Get with that. And I'd like to explore Lucy a little bit more. See what other creative things I could do with Lucy besides just quilting. I'd like to get Walter involved more with Lucy. He
Yeah, I'd
shakes
like
his
to
head.
do that.
He says this. Is this one of your resolutions for?
No, I don't have to make resolutions, but I do have to. I want to do some more stuff other than shirt making. I
I
want
think.
to actually. I want to make. There's a couple other clothing items that I'd like to make.
Men's underwear.
No, actually, I've got fabric still that I bought a long time ago for like a sweater type jacket.
Mm.
I want to get going on making something like that too. So, and there's a couple of bag patterns I've got, and I've got that. Jacqueline de Jong
Oh,
paper pieces.
yeah, that's not good.
I have a whole bunch of things that I'd like to do,
Yeah,
but
there we
we'll see
go.
how far I get.
Yeah, and I really want him to get on to Lucy. Because, geez, I'd be very happy if he would just quilt my quilts for that. Because, I admit it. I don't like doing the quilting part. I don't. I
Not
have
even on a long run.
not even, well, I don't mind it, but it's more of me once it's all set up with the
Mm.
computer and everything. It's not me quilting, it's the machine quilting, and I'm just standing there and troubleshooting in case Lucy decides to have a little temper tantrum, which she
See,
does
I
at
wouldn't mind
times.
trying some free motion
See, I
stuff.
know, and you would probably be good at it, whereas no, I wouldn't. I'm not. I tried. I don't have the patience. I just Don't. I mean, I think one of the realistic parts about making New Year's resolutions, or at least your plans on the new year, is to be realistic about your limitations. Like bag making. Maybe I'm challenged when it comes to that. I guess if it was that important to me that I perfect it and I would spend the time, but it's not. That's the thing. For me to do something,
Mhm.
I have to have a purpose. And I mean, it's not, I just don't do, I like to experiment, but my experiments are usually because I'm trying to do something that I definitely want to do. I have a concrete product that I want to complete. If it's just airy fairy, then it's not of any interest to me. There has to be a means to an end. I'm a pragmatist like that. So when it comes to using the long arm for quilting in free motion, no, to me it's a machine. It's a means to an end. It's a means to the ends of finishing a quilt. Bang. Got it quilted, bind it, put it in a bag, store it, and forget all about it forever. It's the other thing. It's That's where quilting becomes an art, when you're doing full free motion quilting. And I admire it. I just don't have the gumption to spend the hours and hours and hours of really perfecting that and learning it. And I probably should, but I don't. But you have the patience and you like doing things like that are a bit of a challenge. And yeah, so I think it would be a match made in heaven. I piece, you quilt. I bind, we put it in a bag and forget about it. But again, I think it would work out. There are a lot of people we know that work in that way. Couples, you know, and I think that's a great thing, doing something together. And yet we could be separate because I don't have to be standing over top of him watching him, which he wouldn't want anyways. So we'll have to look into that. So what other things? Did you have anything else that you wanted to do this year in that? Well, oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I should do more of. Someone told me about this the other day. Um, I have an AccuQuilt, and I have a lot of AccuQuilt dies. A lot. And I'll be honest, I don't use my AccuQuilt except to cut binding or long pieces of fabric. And that's kind of a waste. And because AccuQuilt machines and the dies are not cheap, there's probably $5,000 worth of AccuQuilt equipment in this room. So I even have dies that I've never taken out of the wrapper to make things like a mariner's compass and stuff like that. So one of my things I should do this year is actually do some AccuQuilt cutting, using it to its fullest extent, because I'm not even close. Now, someone told me about, and this will come up in a few weeks on one of my new segments on Idiot Quilter called Point of Interest, and where I am featuring something you have sent to me that you think other people might be interested in. I explore it and I add it to the Idiot Quilter episode. So think about that if you find something. Anyway, someone sent me a link to some woman online who teaches courses using the AccuQuilt machine. And I think they're all online. I haven't looked at how much they cost or whatever, but she has a beginner's course and she has different levels and different things that you do. And I'm thinking I should maybe explore that a little bit further. That might teach me how to get the most out of my machine since I've spent a lot of money on the machine. So that's another thing I want to do. Of course, we're going to travel. We have Japan for that, and I don't know if we haven't talked about any other trips. And there's things around here that we need to bring into the 21st century as well. So there's lots of things, but don't want to get overwhelmed. So have you got any other things that you want to explore, do?
Not yet. Like I said, I don't make resolutions that much.
Well, these aren't really resolutions, these are plans. Resolution is where you say, I'm planning to do this and I promise I will get it done. I'm not making any promises.
I gotta see if I can fix the snowblower.
No, yeah, after his unfortunate incident. But
No, actually, it works fine right
okay,
now, but I do have a gas leak in there. So,
okay, we'll talk more about this on Stephen and Walter Live. It will come up with it. Uh,
I
well,
mean,
what
sewing items. There's different things that I'd like to do. Just depends on.
is it
I
making
think for
one
me,
of those
me
zippered
it's
hoodies?
getting motivated.
Motivated. Making
Not a
one?
zipper hoodie, like a jacket with a collar.
Oh,
I just have to get. I have to see which
I
patterns I
was
have.
thinking of that one that Brandon made. I really like that.
Yeah, somebody that was a hoodie.
Yeah.
I don't like making hoodies. I have a hoodie I
Mm.
made under when Brendan taught me how to sew. Brendan's the guy that taught me how to sew, and sew clothing anyway. He under his supervision, I did one that was a hoodie, and I have it, but it's really heavy.
Mm.
It's made out of fleece, but
So
it's really
winter
heavy.
hoodie.
And no, it's heavy weight wise to put on.
Oh,
And the hood is a big part of that weight. And
well, the one that he made that he was making on that sew day,
yeah,
I like that. Did it have a zipper?
no, that was a
Oh, a
pullover.
pullover. Okay.
I
Well,
don't like that
I
one.
like that one, but what I would have done different is I would like it even more if he didn't have a hood on it and he had a zipper in it.
Yeah,
Oh, a jacket.
exactly.
But it was kind of nice. Well, yes, you should explore because, okay, we have a lot of shirts.
Yeah, I know.
I
So,
especially have a lot of shirts. I mean, not that I'll ever turn down another shirt because I
but I'm
like
getting a
my
little
shirts.
tired of making them.
Yeah,
So I
well,
want a little bit more of a challenge. So
and I'm thinking too, and I've said this many times before, but I'll see how it goes with this Quilt of Valor thing I'm designing. But I'd like to design my own quilts a little bit more, but I'd like to more move into things that are maybe weird, like art quilts, you know, and with scraps and things, but not a scrappy quilt per se, but a an art quilt. But I just don't know what that looks like or how to get into it. But just people have told me you just plunge in, you just go, and I have a problem doing that. Things for me usually have to be planned, so break out of that. So, anyways, we've been talking a little bit then about expectations and plans and things like that. And one of our subscribers, Nancy Ryan, she wanted us to do a So Chatty session on what she called expectations versus reality and how you cope with that. And so I did some research on some of that kind of stuff. And I think first of all, let's define what we're talking about. I just want to get my notes up here for me here a little bit more. But, here's the problem with making New Year's resolutions or just at the first of the year or any time of the year when you make plans. If you're a list maker like me, I do this all the time. I make a list. These are things I want to accomplish. I have short term, I have long term lists. Some would call those goals. I don't use the word goals because goals suggest that there's an end point, and my plans don't always have an end point to them. Some do, some don't. So I make long lists over, I've tried planning a whole year on a calendar. That doesn't work for me because I never look at it again. I make medium length lists, lists that are more like weekly basis. Actually, more people would call that a schedule because I have things that I do every week on the same days, kind of a thing, just usual kind of things you do. So I have those. Then I have short term lists, ones that are for maybe projects that might take a week or two to do, and or other things that I want to do, and I make lists about my lists. I do. I'm a list maker. And here's the problem with making lists. Good point, you get to check them off after you've done things and you feel accomplished. Bad thing is the lists get longer because you keep adding to the list. So it's like it's perpetual. And that can be very discouraging and overwhelming as well. So that's not very realistic. So we thought we'd take a look at how we strike a balance between expectations and reality, what you're planning to do and what you really can do. And so I went into AI, as I do, and did a little search on this concept and came up with actually some very interesting stuff. So they started off with coping with the gap between expectations and reality involves shifting from a mindset of control to one of flexibility and presence. Research indicates that unmet expectations are primary drivers of life dissatisfaction, often leading to chronic disappointment and stress. So, what they're saying here is, first of all, a mindset of control. When I make my lists, I'm controlling my life. I'm organizing it. I'm putting everything in its place. And I like to have control. And so that makes me happy. What about you? Do you have any control issues with?
No, I don't know. I don't try to. Actually, I never get depressed if I don't. I don't have any big plans and get really depressed if they don't do it.
Okay, so that's a coping mechanism. You're saying then if you did have big plans and they don't work out, you would be depressed by that. But by not making, and I think by big plans we mean concrete, I have to have this done. I have to do this or I won't be happy if I don't get this done
I
kind of
mean, I
thing.
suppose if we plan a trip and then it doesn't happen,
Well, that
I'd
would
be
be
disappointed.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but that's something that you can't really change,
true.
right? But I mean, if I go and say I want to do try my hand at long arming and stuff like that, and then I don't do it, will I be depressed by it? I don't know.
I
Other
doubt that you
things,
would be.
yeah.
I doubt that you would be because you're able to just say, well, so what? Which you do all the time. See, for me, this is what I'm going through right now with the bag making. I had high hopes and I think I had unrealistic expectations of myself.
Mm.
I thought that I was good. I thought I could do this. This isn't a problem. I'm an experienced sewer now. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
What?
but right now what you're doing is you're saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do it anymore because this isn't working out." But wouldn't you get better if you do more of it?
Yes, you would think. But do I have the impetus to do that?
See, now you're disappointed and you want to throw in the towel.
Yeah, I do. And that happens to me sometimes. But there's an underlining theme under this, and that is I'm very disappointed in myself that I was not. I mean, I could blame pattern instructions, and I do to a certain extent. But the reality is, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and it's frustrating me. And I like immediate results. And that's my problem with everything. When I want something, I want it now. I don't want to wait, and I don't have any patience to spend the time to practice, practice, practice. I guess that's why I never really learned how to play the piano well, because I hated practicing with it. I want instantaneous gratification, I guess is what I'm saying. And that sounds really bad. Um, Although I'm not that way with everything in my life. But I don't know. But anyways, it goes here, shift toward radical acceptance rather than fighting reality. Practice accepting as it currently is. Radical acceptance. This dialectical behavior therapy DBT technique involves acknowledging the facts of a situation without judgment, which reduces the emotional pain of an expectation reality gap. I guess what they're saying here is accept your limitations, accept that you're not going to get immediate gratification, accept that if you want to get good at something, then you're going to have to practice. It's not going to come off the first time with that. So just accepting where you are in that level. I mean, when I first started quilting, if I think back to that, what really turned me on to quilting was not making the quilt, it was the machinery. learning. I remember sitting down with the first sewing machine, the one you're using now, and because it has all those different stitches, I decided to make a swatch card of all the different stitches, and I stitched these all out. I don't know where it is today, or maybe I did that on the
I thought you did that on the 15,000.
15,000. It might have been the 15,000 I did that on. Yeah, the combination embroidery sewing machine. And I did it, and I spent hours doing this. And then when it was done, I threw them out. When I was cleaning out what was the sewing dungeon before I moved it into this room and everything, when I was cleaning out stuff, I found them. And I went, why? They have a map. It's on the machine. It's in the manual. Why was I doing this? I was doing it because I liked playing with the machine. Now, I did learn a few things from doing that, but that's not why I did it. But then I got more into quilting, and as I had more success with my quilts, I got more confident, and I was enjoying the process more. So radical acceptance. Build on what you know and go from there. Allow for grief. If reality has fallen significantly short of your hopes, give yourself permission to grieve the lost expectation before trying to move forward. Well, that's what I'm doing right now with the bag making. I'm going through grief. Grief in that this isn't going to be what I thought it was going to be. I may return to it. But I think they're also saying here, accept disappointment.
Well, it isn't also like, I mean, if I make a shirt, I'm making it for a purpose, right? Or if you're just making a bag for the hell of making a bag, and you're not necessarily wanting to make it for a purpose, like that you have that you're going to use this specifically for something you want to make this bag, then you might, you're not being driven to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have an impetus. I don't have a reason for making it beyond the fact I just want to make it.
Yeah.
Or try to make it. Well, that has gotten old real quick when things weren't going smoothly with it. That now you see though, if I was making this and I needed it for something very specific in a certain time period in the whole bit, I would persevere. I would persevere and get it done because it's a means to an end.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. But because right now there's nothing depending on it, no one's standing over me expecting me to make this for them or anything like that. The only person I'm disappointing is myself. And I do that all on a regular basis anyway, so I can get over it. It says, savor the present. Focus on the sacred now by appreciating what you already have rather than being held hostage by a future that may not happen. Okay, if we translate that into quilting and sewing and expectations for the future and plans for the new year and everything, I think that's what bogs us down. You project. When I can't sleep, one of the prime reasons I can't sleep is because my brain is thinking about what I want to do next, what I've got to do and what I want to do. And I overwhelm my brain with all this stuff instead of focusing on what have I accomplished. And I think this is something to be good for most people to do at the end of a year. Instead of looking back at the year or looking ahead to the next year and going, I want to do this and that, look at what you did in the past year and what you accomplished. Because everybody has accomplished something in the year before. Like, how many quilts did I finish last year? Quite a few. I got better using Lucy and figuring out how she does things. I made a shirt. Okay, I'm not making another one, but I made a shirt. I learned a lot of things from YouTube videos. I produced, on average, 4 videos a week. Every week. For the year, pretty much. For my YouTube channel. My subscriber base went up. I have pursued 3D printing. Bought 3 new machines and have created things that I never thought I would create again. Things that were multiple parts that I had to put together, like the fluval things. I mean, we went on 2 trips. 2 major trips in the past year.
Which I planned.
Which you planned. And you put together and they worked out very well. So what else did you accomplish in the year?
Well,
umpteen million shirts.
yeah, I made a bunch of shirts and a few other items.
Broke the snowblower.
Broke the snowblower. Um, I fixed it. But
Yes.
anyway,
You lost weight.
yeah, I was more last year before and last year. I kept it off anyway,
Yeah.
so um
You improved your cooking skills. No.
um I don't know. I've done a few things. I mean, I do tend to be a procrastinator when I'm
Hmm.
doing stuff, so I will tend to put stuff off. Like I could have done a lot more sewing last year that I didn't because I procrastinated too
You
much.
made more money on the stock market.
Yeah, well, that and
You bought more toys,
yeah.
like the RoboVac, which was recent.
Yeah.
You,
I buy things that suck.
yes.
I bought a vac in the last month. I bought two different vacuums. So
But I mean, the whole point of what I'm saying is, and what they mean by savor the present, you know, sometimes we just get ourselves so depressed because we anticipate a future that may not be realistic, you know?
I
Um,
mean, what didn't we do? Well, every year we put off our renovations.
yeah, yeah, we have a few, but we're not dwelling on those. We're not dwelling on those. Well, we might have, well, we did. We put 10 new windows in this house.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So, oh, that was a big accomplishment, a big expense, but a big accomplishment. But it makes us happy that those are in now, especially when the
Mhm.
weather's cold. It's very nice. Um, we will get to the other things as
Yeah, we will.
well. But right now, today, if I take this moment in time right now, before we came on to record this, I was getting a sense of accomplishment when I didn't even have this plan to do this today. But when I decided that I was going to go back and look at some of my quilt things that I was working on, because I didn't want to work on the bags, I pulled out my plans for a quilt of valor that I was designing a couple of months ago, and I got out graph paper because my mathematics was not working on an electric quilt, and now I've translated that into electric quilt, and it's coming along, and I feel that I've actually got something accomplished that may end up being a decent product down the road with it. So that's the sacred moment. That was now. I don't know where I'm going with it tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about that. I did that. I wasn't sitting in front of a television set, or in my case, in front of the laptop watching YouTube shorts about pimple popping, cute cat tricks, and half naked men. I don't know why those come up in my feed. I have no idea. But to that, or watching all the things about heated rivalry on their television show. And if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It is good. It is hot. It is dirty. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so they carry on with in this article and they say adjust your internal standards. High or fixed expectations can act as a tyranny that blinds you to new possibilities. Okay, this one's speaking to me. I have always had very high expectations. I expect a lot from myself, and I expect a lot from the world and the people around me. And, that's especially when you expect it from other people and that, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. It says set process oriented goals. Focus on what you can control. They use an example, I will exercise 3 times this week. Rather than rigid outcomes, I will lose 10 pounds. Okay, so I think what they're saying there and how this applies to quilting, what can you control in your creative room? Okay, in my case, I thought I could do bags, and I can do some bags, but there may be some other bags I don't like to do, or my skill level isn't up to that yet. So, what's my goal? My process oriented goal for that was to attempt it. I've done, and I've known what my limitations are, and moving on. What about you? Do you have do you set process oriented goals? And I
Mm,
think this involves learning something.
not really.
So do you have rigid outcomes?
No.
Okay. You're very flexible, he thinks.
If I say I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. I don't specifically say I want to lose 10 pounds.
Okay.
So
So you're the first part of that example. They say, I will exercise 3 times a week, which is process oriented.
yeah,
I will lose 10 pounds is not, it's product oriented.
yeah,
So I think what they're saying here is look more at the process, the journey. Like quilting's a journey, sewing is a journey. Okay. And don't focus so strongly on the end result. So it's a practice realistic optimism. Balance a positive outlook with an honest assessment of current facts and potential obstacles. Okay, I'm not a bad person because I struggled with the amethyst bag and it didn't work for me. But I felt like a bad person. I felt like an idiot. I felt inadequate. I felt like I couldn't, that I should be able to do this, but I failed. Well, no. I think what they're saying here is the reason I failed, there were several reasons. One, I was working too quickly. I wasn't being patient. I should have read the pattern much more thoroughly. I should have analyzed the pattern, but that takes up time, and I'm one of those kind of people that just wants to plow ahead. I got to get over that. If you don't finish a project because you don't like it, there's nothing wrong with not finishing it. Just discard it. Give it to somebody else that might finish it, or put it in a corner for a rainy day or something like that. You're not a bad person because you do that. Like,
yeah. Like a few years ago, actually, it was around COVID started. I was taking a class to make a bag that was sort of similar to that bag that you made yesterday, right? Um, and I got partway through the class, and then COVID hit, and the class didn't continue, right? Well, I had all the stuff in I had all the stuff to do and the pattern and everything. Well, I never finished it because I hated the stupid thing. I didn't want to finish it. So I wasn't sorry that I didn't do that. I just didn't want to do it.
but so many people and so much of our society puts an emphasis on it to make you feel like you're a failure because you didn't finish something for the simple reason you just didn't want to. You didn't like it. Nobody's standing over you with a stick. When you've picked the project you want to do and you're not working for anybody else but yourself, I guess you just need to go, it's not a failure. It says you've just realized something. Why am I wasting my time on trying to complete something I am not enjoying when I could be doing something that I'd much rather be doing? And I think a lot of people are trapped into that. You hear it in the quilting community all the time. Oh, I've got these UFOs and they've been sitting there staring at me for months, for years. I really need to get them done. But you can hear it in their voice. They're going, but that's work. I don't want to do it. I'm not motivated. I don't like this project anymore. That's okay. So
Get rid of it.
get rid of it. If it's sitting there and it's staring back at you, throw it out. Give it to somebody. Take it to Goodwill. I don't know. Whatever. Then it's not staring at you anymore. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay?
Yeah, if it's something that you've started and then you're just not motivated to finish, what's the point of having it?
Yeah. But I think what happens is when people leave that and they don't get rid of it out of their sight, out of mind, and forget about it, it's a reminder that they're a failure. That's how they look at it. I failed. I didn't finish that. I feel so bad. Why are you surrounding yourself with things that make you feel bad? People talk about their sewing areas and that is their happy space. Well, if that thing is sitting in the corner bugging eyeing you, there's a new term. If little eyes are bugging out at you going, you didn't finish me, you suck. Then you know what you do? You kill it. You chop it out into little pieces and throw it out. And then that's therapy. Getting rid of it, getting that monkey off your back. They say evaluate the source. Ask whether your expectations come from your own values or from external pressures like social media or friend. Our family. Yeah, as quilters, don't we get a lot of that? Sew-alongs, block of the month, shows, competitions. Put your quilts in. We feel like are those really our expectations? Or is that the expectations that are put on to us by the community we're sewing in? They say there aren't any quilt police. There may not be any quilt police per se, but there are people who pressure us to do things. For example, the quilt I just finished, my Opus quilt, as I called it, the big, the Stormy Sea one. I have had lots of people say, you need to put that in. This is what they say. You need to put that in a show. And I go, no, I do not. It is not going in a show. Not now, not ever. Ever. No, it is not. And here's why. Because those are other people's expectations. I am flattered that people think it is show worthy. But I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, because we all know, or at least I feel from what I know, that quilt shows are not unbiased. That there are those who will win no matter what. I don't believe anybody gets a fair shake in a quilt show. It's who you know and your name out there already. And that's who win at quilt shows. Yes, they create beautiful works of art. But I've been to enough quilt shows now that have been judged to see what I really thought was, that is outstanding. And then I see some of the ones that get first prize and look at it compared to other ones around it and going, why? Why would that have gotten first prize?
Or why would one person get that submitted several quilts all get the top prize in each category?
Yeah. Like,
and you see other works that are in that same category, and you think to yourself, why did that person get it and not this other quilt?
Yeah, exactly. And they're saying here, evaluate the source. Where are the expectations coming from? If you, on your own, you decide, yes, I'm really proud of this quilt, I think it's show worthy, I'm going to put it in. That's you. But other people telling you should do this or not do this, or their expectations of what they want you to create, like your family. Your family goes, oh, I want a t-shirt quilt. I want you to make me a t-shirt quilt of all my t-shirts from all the concerts I've been at or that Johnny's been to or whatever like this. And you may not want to make a t-shirt quilt. And from what I've heard, I don't know too many people that love the process of making t-shirt quilts. I'm sure there's a few that do. But most of them do nothing but bitch and complain about the fact that, why did I ever agree to do this? Well, that's somebody else's expectations, not your own. So that can bring about frustration and depression in you too. And then all the stuff that people post on Facebook or all the other Discord and stuff like that. This is what I made this week. See what I made? See me? See, am I my good?
Yeah, wasn't that where people, there's a lot of people that are expecting praise from their result.
And that we all like people to say nice things about us. Yes, that's human nature. We need to have our egos stroked every now and then. But there are people who cannot get enough of that. And that puts them on stress, because suddenly if someone doesn't say what they expect them to say about what they have made or created, they start to question themselves. Well, why? What did I do wrong? Why don't they like it? What can I do to make it better? How can I? Those are not your expectations. Those are the expectations of other people. And that's what it's talking about here. Okay, then they go into practical coping strategies then. So how do you cope with all of this kind of stuff? Well, the pause. When you feel triggered by disappointment, pause and breathe to create space between the event and your reaction. Okay, I think what they're saying about the pause is stand back from what you're working on and reevaluate it. And we've already kind of talked about that. Like in the case of the frustration I was having with the amethyst bag thing. Okay, I stood when I first got so frustrated with it, no, I didn't. But the next day I kind of thought about it and went, okay, one, have I been enjoying making this? No. I hated it every step of the way, making it. I didn't like the instructions. I didn't understand the instructions. The diagrams that came with it were piss poor quality. And I was frustrated that there wasn't a video tutorial like they said there was. I was angry. I was absolutely angry. But then when I stood back, I went, who am I angry at? Am I angry at the person who created the pattern, or am I angry with myself? Well, really, it's me. I'm angry with myself because, I can't do anything to change how that person wrote that pattern or anything like that. It won't matter. I could complain until I'm blue in the face. I could write them a nasty letter and the whole bit. Is that going to change anything? No. No, it's not. But I can change my attitude. And if I just sit back, think about it for a moment, and so, is this really going to alter my life majorly if I don't finish this or if I don't work on it again? If I just cast it off and put it up to experience? I did learn something by making it. I learned what I didn't like. That in itself, that sounds a little facetious, but no, that in itself is a lesson. So the pause is a good thing. Breathe. Breathe. Sometimes we like to make mountains out of molehills. So just breathe and move on. What about you? How do you?
Yeah, I like sometimes it's good to take a break. When
And when you take a break in what way do you take a break? Like,
well, I might actually set the project down and just clear my mind.
just put it off to the side. It'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean not put it away forever, but like just put it away for that day or a couple hours or something like that, just to give my mind a break, right? Because I'm frustrated when something bad happens like that. When the collar happened on the shirt, I just get frustrated. I feel frustrated.
Yeah.
So it's good to take a break and let your mind reset, type of thing. And that same thing happens when I used to work. I used to work in software. I wrote programs and things like that. And when I had a problem with the program that I just couldn't resolve, I was going crazy trying to figure out what was wrong with that. A lot of times, a good thing was to say, "I'm going to lunch." Forget it right now, right? Because a lot of times you end up resolving your problem by stepping away from it. And a lot of times after, if I did that, I halfway through lunch, oh, I know what was wrong or something like that, and go back to it. And after I had rested my mind and continued. A lot of times with sewing too, you if you make a mistake and you're frustrated, you made a mistake, and then you go back and you try and redo it again right after you've made that mistake, you often make that mistake twice.
Yeah. Been there and done that. Twice, 3 times.
Yeah, in a row.
Mhm.
And then you think you're an idiot, but sometimes it's good just to put it down and
just
go back to it.
and do something else. Clear
Yeah.
your mind. I find that if I've been frustrated all day with a problem that I can't solve, whatever that problem might be, when I go to bed that night, I try not to think about it, but it's hard, but you still do. But then suddenly you wake up in the middle of the night with the solution. You figure your brain works that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sleep's important.
Yeah, because your mind seems to process things in the background. Like, it's sort of, they're always trying to fix that problem. So it's good to take a break.
Yeah. Then they talk about mindful comparison. If you must compare, avoid comparing your behind the scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel on social media. And that's what we were saying before. Other people's expectations is tied into that. But in this day and age of everybody's on the internet and we see what everybody else is doing, and there's an it's very hard not to compare ourselves to what other people have achieved. And when we don't reach that standard, which is not a standard we have set for ourselves, that we think is a standard that we're supposed to reach because somebody else is getting all this glory or popularity or whatever out of it, well, that doesn't help with your coping with reality. That isn't reality anyways. People on social media don't show you their worst. They only show you their best. That's why I started the Idiot Quilter. Because when I was learning how to quilt and I was going to the University of YouTube to figure it all out, I kept hitting all these videos where people were just, by the magic of television, presto, perfect product at the end. They never discussed if they'd made any mistakes and how they worked around them or how they corrected the situation. It was like from beginning to the end, every step was absolutely perfect. And it didn't work that way for me when I followed it. And I got very frustrated. So that's why I created the Idiot Quilter, and it's why I call it the Idiot Quilter, beyond the fact that Walter calls me an idiot all the time. Um,
Yeah, like I mean, if you
because I
go
want you to
to
learn a mistake.
a quilt show, you'll see all kinds of beautiful quilts with beautiful
Mm-hmm.
quilting on it, and you think to yourself, I can't do that.
Yeah, because you're comparing yourself to something. It's not a fair comparison. We're all at different levels. Those people at the quilt shows that have those beautifully appliqued quilts where you can't even see the stitches in them, they're so fine and delicate and everything. They have probably been working on those bloody things for 50 years. They've probably been sewing, doing applique and learning it when they were, like, as the expression goes, knee high to a grasshopper
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
or same with the intricate hand quilting that's on some of these quilts and stuff like that. They've done this craft for
For
many
years.
years.
It didn't just happen overnight. And you see, there's where I used to get caught up too, because I wanted it to happen overnight. And if something's that easy that you can learn, if it looks complicated, but you can learn it within 5 minutes, then is it worth bothering to learn? Because, you know, what's the point? I mean, okay, maybe for certain things like fixing your sink or something like that, or more practical things. But in the world of art, like quilting and sewing are arts as well, it's going to take a little bit more. So don't get burnt out about it. And then they talk about, said, write it out. Maintain a journal to track your expectations versus what actually happened. This helps identify patterns of unrealistic thinking. If you're a journal writer, this might appeal to you. I have tried this. I have tried this several times over the years to use a journal to track things. And guess what? Doesn't matter what format. I can't. I tried to write a diary because that's basically what they're talking about, is a type of diary on here. Never could. Couldn't do it. I didn't have the discipline to set aside a certain amount of time every day and do this. I didn't find the process enjoyable. I didn't find it helpful. Yet, I do have on my computer tons of lists. Lists are what I use for, so I guess I do write things out. But lists keep me organized especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed, because I get all these things in my head going, oh, should do this and should do that, need to remember this, need to remember that, and I can't. And it starts to go wacky in my head, and at night I can't sleep because my brain is working on all that. I find if I commit it to my electronic, and it's all electronic, I do it all on my computer, into my lists on my computer, it helps me feel less overwhelmed. So I guess there is something positive about write it out. Just depends on what form works for you the best. Whether you do pen and pencil in a journal or you do it on a screen, up to you. Do you write things out?
Sometimes, occasionally.
Like what?
Well, especially when when we're about to travel and stuff, I'll write down things that I have to do before we go and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And um,
Why do you do that?
just to remember to do all the things.
No. So to organize yourself.
Yeah, or yeah, I'll write some things down once in a while of things we need to buy or something
Yeah.
like that. So
So I guess there is some validity to what they're talking here. Write it out. Just be a little bit more. They're a little being a little bit more specific here in this detail.
or if I'm thinking of, let's say, doing a project of some sort, I may write down all the things that I need for the project.
Yeah, that
Um,
helps. I do
and
that too.
stuff like that. So
Make, the list of supplies that you need, start to organize it and that kind of thing. And that helps you, like, if, especially when it's an overwhelming task, like if you see something that you want to make and it's, though it looks like it's like many multiple steps, and the way certain patterns are written, sometimes people don't understand about breaking things down into the smallest components. I guess for me, that's second nature because as a teacher, I had to do that. I had to take complex concepts I'm trying to teach kids, and I had to break it down to the smallest unit of thought. It's what we called it, little units of thought. One little step at a time. Break it down. It's easier to digest, it's easier to understand, and you get to the end product, but you know how you got there and what the point is of what you're doing if you break it all down. And it doesn't seem as so overwhelming as that. So, anytime that I have any kind of task to do, when I feel that this is just too overwhelming, like, okay, give me a practical example. Christmas dinner. All right. I was feeling overwhelmed. Where are people going to sit? What are we going to have to eat? What time are they coming? Who's coming? What are we going to serve for beverages? How are we going to manage all of the dirty dishes and making sure we've got enough dishes and everything like that? And then are we giving gifts? Are we doing? And then it just went from there. And my brain was going to explode. So I sat down in front of my computer and I started to make a list. And then I just brainstormed everything that I needed to do. And then I categorized those things like, okay, this all has to do with food. This has all to do with setting. This all has to do with entertainment, whatever. And then within those chunks, I broke it down into smaller chunks. Like if you're going to have scalloped potatoes, you need to have potatoes and milk and this and this and this. And then it ended up we made mashed potatoes instead. But you see, I broke it down in smaller steps. And you can go one step further. Prioritize them. What are the key steps out of all those little steps you've made that are definite? They must be done and they may be time sensitive to when you do it. Other ones may be, okay, if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. It's not going to change the world, so I can even just put it in a different color or put brackets on it as an optional. Or it can be done at any time. It's not time sensitive. It isn't crucial. And, you know, after you've done that, everything seems very manageable for you and your head doesn't explode. It's just breaking it all down. You do the same thing when you're doing sewing projects as well, you know. And I guess another factor in all of that is time. Give yourself time to do all of that. Don't try to do it on the fly, or don't try to multitask it. Okay, I think that one of the expectations people may have is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have it all done within 3 weeks time, and it's going to be wonderful and glorious. And then you can't do it because you haven't broken it down. You have unrealistic timeline for it. You haven't set your priorities, all of those things. And all of those things, you need to have some time to sit with yourself and to think about it. It's how I used to design lessons for class on a new topic. If I had never done this topic before, it was overwhelming. How am I going to get this across to kids? What am I going to do? What do I need to know? That was the first thing. What do I need to know? And what do I need to have them know? And it's sort of a Venn diagram, whatever they call those circles and that. You put what I need to know, what they need to know, and what crosses over in that middle part, and that's what you focus on, is in there. Those are the priorities. And out of that comes your steps and everything like that. It was good to be a teacher. You learn these things. Then they talk here about communication. Communicate clearly in relationships or at work. Voice your expectations early and adjust them based on the other person's consistent actions. Okay, I think this one's applying more to when you're working in a team environment or with somebody else about something. Or, you know, if you're somebody that's, I watch YouTube creators who do sew-alongs. I think the sew-alongs that work best, first of all, I never join a sew-along, and I'll tell you why. One, I don't want to be working on somebody else's timeline. I had to do that when I was a teacher, when I worked. Now I'm retired. I can have my own timeline. I'm not going to be dependent upon them. And I've heard some frustration lately with some people who have been working on sew-alongs and that, who said that the timeline was inconsistent. It didn't stick to it.
To a set schedule,
To a
right?
Yeah,
right?
they couldn't plan their own life around it because it kept changing, and that meant they had to
Yeah,
alter things, and they got frustrated with that. Um, that's why I won't put myself into that situation. Also, it's too much like I have a deadline I have to meet, and why? I should be enjoying this, and that's taking away from my enjoyment. So back to this thing about the communication then. Um, if you're going to work with somebody else on something, if you're going to do a so along or a block of the month, make sure you understand what the expectations are and the timeline for them, and make sure that you can live with that, that you can cope with it.
yeah. Like, I mean, if it's in a if you're paying money for the so along,
Yeah,
especially, um, then you need it has to be a constant time and place where the so long
yeah,
happens, right? And it has to be the person that's giving the so long or leading the so long needs to be what do you consistent as to
yeah,
time and everything, and they also have to be reliable.
yeah. So, so back to communication, then if you're not, if there's doubt in your mind that this is going to work into your schedule, but you really want to do it, then you need to reach out to the other person and see how this is going to work or what you can adjust in your schedule or your life to cope with that. But if they're inconsistent,
Yeah, like for instance, there's we have a quilt store here, and they do a block of the month, right?
mhm,
But there's a set time and place that the block of month is done because you're paying a price to take this class
yeah,
type of thing. So you may be comfortable with that, but if you're doing it like a freebie online one with somebody else, and you're not sure if it's going to be consistent or whatever, you may be left hanging for months or something
yeah.
like that on your so long.
And the other thing too is there are a ton of so-alongs and block of the months that people can join. And I know many people who, oh God, I have to do that. They sign up for that. Oh, I love that one. I have to sign up with that. Before they know it, they have all these different projects they're working on at the same time, and they're getting frustrated because there's conflicts in scheduling. They feel overwhelmed. They get behind because they can't keep up. And this is what I said about multitasking, thinking you can do all of these things at once, when in reality, most people can't. Multitasking is just a legend.
It's like your local quilt store and people sign up to too many classes at once
Yeah, yeah. And then they find out, oh, life happens and you can't do all those
and
things.
they get behind and they get frustrated.
So that's the reality of a situation like that. The expectation is that you can do it all. The reality is you can't. So accept that and work with it. Then they talk about seeking external support. If the disparity between your reality and expectations is causing severe distress, professional resources are available. Okay, this is in an extreme, I think. They're talking about getting counseling, crisis support, it's driving you to commit suicide. I can't really think of any creative project that's going to drive me to that level of things. But this was done in general. They weren't talking specifically about quilting and sewing
No.
and that kind of stuff. We're
Yeah, go
relating
to
it to
Quilters
that.
Anonymous.
Yeah, Quilters Anonymous. Hi.
QA.
It's been 3 days since my last quilt. I am a junkie on that. I need fabric or whatever. So, okay, good topic. I hope that you saw the relationship we're trying to make it with quilting expectations, because every time I have a sew day, every time I have a pop-up sew day, I hear somebody say, I'm so far behind. I don't know if I'm ever going to get caught up. How can you be so far behind in a craft, in an art form that you love to do, your hobby? Because by the nature of it, of a hobby, you're doing that all your life, for the rest of your life. There's only one big deadline for that, then, isn't there? Think about that. Um, but No, the only deadlines you have are the deadlines you set for yourself. Oh, and there'll be ones out there say, but there's a baby coming in the family, my first grandchild, I have to make them a quilt. That baby, according to psychologists, will not have any recollection of anything until they turn the age of 3.
Yeah, so you got 3 years.
So you got 3 years. Yeah. Why put pressure on yourself to get it done? It's a baby quilt. Well, why not think outside of the box? Does it have to be a baby quilt, or could it be a quilt that grows with the child? You know, and I've heard other people say they make these kind of quilts. Mm-hmm. That takes the pressure off you. They will get it eventually. Don't tell them that you're making them a quilt.
Yeah.
Because they'll be sitting around expecting, like the parents will be, they'll be expecting something to come up, and then they'll start harking on you, and they'll have expectations. Well, we're really hoping you could have it done by their 5th birthday. It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on them for even putting that pressure on you. Shame on you for accepting the pressure, too. I mean, it gets done when it gets done, and it'll be lovely with that. So that's kind of thing. And
don't take on projects with specific deadlines when you're short on time. So
I say don't take on any project that has a deadline, because you never know what's going to happen, and you're just stressing yourself out.
Yeah, and don't make it, oh my God, the baby came early.
Yeah, oh no, what am I going to do? I mean, they've been married for 7 months. How did the baby come that early? It's premature. Yeah, okay. That's the old days. They don't worry about that anymore. Babies come usually before marriage anyways, it seems, anymore. But that's a topic for another day. So I guess overall is, how do you cope with reality? Be realistic. Be realistic in who you are. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Play to the strengths for success. Figure out your time. Your time is precious. Every moment of it, you should be enjoying it, because time goes by too fast. Our lives are too short. We've all heard people say that. Life is too short. And as you get older, time goes by faster, and it does. So plan accordingly. Where's the joy? Figure out what brings you joy. Okay? And that one crazy lady about cleaning out your closets and everything, if it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out. Well, I think I make fun of that. But there is one thing she says that I agree with. If it doesn't bring you joy, why are you doing it? If you don't like it and you're forcing yourself with this, then you're miserable. Why? Get rid of it. Forget it. Move on. Whatever. No one's going to fault you for that. Only you. And that's the other thing. Don't be so self-critical. And I mean, that's easier said than done, because we are all a little bit self-critical. We're all our own worst critic. But get over it. And you know how you can get over that? When I get really critical about myself, I try to think about the things that I have accomplished and what I have done. Think about the good moments in your life, the things where you felt really, wow, I rose to the occasion and I achieved a goal, or I accomplished it. I accomplished what I wanted to do. And there's a lot of that we do in our lives. It's every day. So, focus on that kind of thing. And I guess what all of this is saying is, don't focus on the negative. Just focus on the good stuff. And the rest of the stuff can go to hell. Simple as that. Yeah. Well, it sounds simple, I know. But, we all know we all have different personalities and we all handle it in a different way. So whatever. But don't set yourself up for failure. And all those things I just said fall under that category. Okay. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I think we've covered it all.
So enjoy your craft. Enjoy whatever you're working on, and have fun with it. And don't worry. It'll all come together. Okay. Thanks for being here today. I don't know what we'll talk about next week, but if you've got ideas and suggestions, because this was an idea, this was a suggestion from a subscriber, please send them our way, and I'll get the AI working on it, because I make no bones about it. I'm enjoying AI when it comes to research. So, yeah. Otherwise, you'd just be listening to us with no, it would all be all of this with no substance. What are you laughing at? Oh, I know. Eye candy here. Okay, it's time to go. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.